extra science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success. What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions? How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatoo is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
Hi, and welcome to Cockatoo 47, Cockatoos with Attitude. Today, we're going to do investment trading with parrots. What do you say? What do you say, Coco? Besides, get the cameras out of here. Get the cameras out. Yeah. This is Coco, and we have Babaloo, and I'm Don Scott, the executive director of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, and Coco Coverers. Yeah. This one doesn't like tripods and cameras. You need to calm down. They're not going to hurt you. They're not. And Peaches over here, that peachy girl. Lorelei, Cecil, Snowball, Salamander, otherwise known as Sal. Yeah, Salamander. And the Sugar. Hey, Sugar. How you doing, kid? Did you know that dealing with your parrot's misbehavior is similar to investment training? Well, parrots are a big investment. They are. They take a lot of time, energy, money, foresight. Earmuffs, earplugs. You tell him, Salamander. You tell him. Hi, Peach. What are you doing sitting over there all by yourself? Oh, you're lonesome. What you doing? What'd you say, Lorelei?
Hello.
Hello, Peach.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, the last video was all about you. It was. Hi, Bob.
Hello.
Babaloo, you hiding down there?
Hello. Hello.
They require time and patience, much like a 2-year-old child. They do, don't they? Peaches, that's quite the song you got there, baby. Been practicing that song for a long time, haven't you, sweetheart?
Peaches is an amazing personality. Her daily maintenance requires dedication and mindfulness. She requires 2 forms of medicine, 7-course meals, and effort to entice her to eat. Extensive preening every day, special tools to trim nails, constant attention to her vocalizations, daily walks, and twice yearly checkups due to the possibility of impacted feather follicles and the nature of her spinal injuries. It seems a common misconception among the general public that parrots are like toys in a toy box. Nothing could be further from the truth. They are complex creatures. Recently, scientific studies have shown them to be at least as intelligent as chimpanzees. Every captive parrot needs special humans who will dedicate themselves to understanding them, those who know their species as it lives in the wild, special people that understand their social, mental, and physical needs. They need to be understood for what they are, and not as merely human companions, as circus performers to bring smiles. Peaches needs all this and more. She is our special girl. Will you help us care for Peaches? Please make a donation today at our website, chloesanctuary.org. That's spelled CHLOESANCTUARY.org. As a special thank you for your donation, we will joyfully send you a postcard with Peach's happy face.
And they come from a world we'll never know. We'll never know what their world is truly like. Only they can know that, and only the ones in the wild know that. These captive ones, well, they've had a lot of what they should be stripped away from them by being hand-raised. What are you crying for? You can come over here if you want. Well, come on over. Are you a little nervous about doing that, huh? You are? Well, in ancient times, one of the ways they solved conflict between different cultures was to trade. So they set up these trading centers, kind of markets where they could... Hi, son. You're very vocal today. Yes, you are. You got a good voice there, kid. I love that sound. Good bird, Salamander. Good bird. He's been making that awful sound he just made a few moments ago. So I've got to praise him when he makes the proper sound. A sound that is, good boy. A sound that is appreciated. So they set up trading centers, and this is one of the ways that they were able to form bonds between very different kinds of cultures. What are you doing back there? You're going to eat my neck? What are you doing? Come here. No, don't chew my finger. Come on. No. What are you doing? Come here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can sit over here. You guys know? No. Excuse me, Coco. You guys cannot be sitting together. No. No mating behavior, okay? No mating behavior. You tell him, go. So we do... You tell him too over there, Chloe. Chloe in the box. It's like a Jack in the Box, a Chloe in the box. Yeah. So we do trading too. It's a different kind of trading with these guys, but we do trading. Mander, Salamander. Good boy. Peaches, you guys are singing a lot. You are. What are you doing down here again? No.
Hello.
You get somewhere else because you're getting nippy. The cameras are out. You go over there and play with those guys. Lorelai, stay away from the males. Peach. You can tell them that again. You can tell them that again, kids. We trade with them to keep them happy, but also to keep from ending up in a padded cell, which could happen if you're not familiar with the tools that can help you deal with these guys. And we're going to talk about the No Jive 5 today. The 5 types of trading that you can do with a bird. Are you going to do it again? You are, aren't you? You don't need to come up and bite me because there are cameras out. You don't. This is a behavior you normally just don't do except when these cameras are out. No, I don't want you over here biting on me. Get over here again. I'll try it one more time. Hi, Snowball. Snowball. And the 5 types are the trade-off, the Chinese finger puzzle, slamming on the brakes, revving the engine, and any port in a storm. Now, all of these involve actually trading things. It's like sitting on a seesaw. If you sit on one side, the saw goes up. Okay, and if somebody heavier sits on the other side, then the other side goes up. So what you're really doing is you're throwing the balance from one side to the other. So the first one we're going to talk about is simply the trade-off. And by trade-off, for example, and I've talked about this one before, but we're going through all 5. So if you have a bird, for example, that is screaming, and by screaming, I mean repeating the same sound, the same squawk, every second or two, just and rhythmically. Squawk, 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 squawk. I'm not going to do it at 100. Hi, salamanders. I'm not going to do it at 125 decibels like these guys do. Okay. That's not screaming over there. That's vocalizing. What are you doing, baby? What you doing, salamander? That's a good boy. That's a good boy. You don't like the way I rearrange things? That's okay. I'll put them back. It's okay. I can tell by the little head spin that he's doing and the way he's going pacing back and forth. He's not happy with the way things are in the room. I know, but at least you're making a happy sound. Not quite as happy. Yeah, I know. Now, when we talk about the Chinese finger puzzle, that's kind of what's happening over here when he's playing with other toys. Rather than trying to come over and nip me, he doesn't like the tripods out, and the room is loaded, okay? There's 3 tripods and 1 microphone stand, and so it's kind of crazy in here. But with the trade-off, it's a simple thing. Rather than paying attention to them when they scream, rather than just paying attention, salamander. Sal, calm down. Rather than paying attention to them when they scream, you wait till they make a sound you like. So if they're screaming and then they make a sound that you like, then what you do is you praise them. Why don't you come sit with me and then you won't be so loud? Come on over here.
Hello.
So, another example is if you teach a bird to ring a bell, and every time it rings the bell, you run over and give it attention, but if it screams, you ignore it. That's another trade-off. That's a simple trade-off. You're trading one behavior for another. Okay? In this case, you're trading the ringing of the bell for the screaming. What are you doing up there? How come you're so animated today? Look at you. Look at you. What a good bird. I know. It's hard to talk, but what a good bird. I know. I know. What a good bird. I know. So the trade-off is just simply finding an alternate, something else that they can do rather than the item you don't want. Okay? It's just trading one thing for another. And what you do is you just think about different things that you could give them to do rather than the thing you don't want. Or you can replace it with. You guys are making this impossible today. You guys are just nuts. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't need to bump your head, baby. It's a good girl. That's a good girl. What are you doing? You're throwing toys on the floor? For some reason you're throwing toys on the floor? Would that be more... Would you like some toys to play with? Are you just toyless? Is that your problem? Now, he tends to get crazy when the cameras are out, so the trade-off here is to give him something else to do rather than come over and start nipping at me. Now, if these two start playing, again, we've taken the seesaw, which was coming over and nipping this way, and flipped it this way to doing something else with all that energy. Right now, he's watching a snowball pound that bucket, but... So you get the idea. You're just offering something else to replace a behavior you don't want to have. Okay? So you're providing an alternate. That's the trade-off. Now the Chinese finger puzzle, what that involves is, let's say you have a bird that tends to come out of its cage and lunge and bite. That's the first thing it does. Now, it may not do anything after that. That may just be its one lunge that it does when coming out of the cage. So let's say we have a bird that just lunges when it comes out of the cage. If you've got your hand in the cage. Still comes out, still plays, but you've got that one behavior you want to get rid of. So one way to solve that, let's say the bird likes almonds. Okay? So what you do is when you come over to the cage, you open the door and you offer the almond. Now, if it's their favorite food, which is what you should be using, then the odds are they're just going to take that right from your hand. Now, once it's got that in its beak, it's going to be like it's going to be very similar to what happens to if you've ever seen a monkey. If you offer it a banana, it'll take it. Now, if you offer them another banana, it'll take it. But then if you offer them the third banana, they don't know what to do. These guys are I think they're a little smarter than that, but still, they've got the almond. They're not too interested in biting. So at that point, once they have the almond in their beak, then you can simply put your other hand out for them to step up on and get them out of the cage. So that's the Chinese finger puzzle, because once you got your fingers in there, you can't pull your fingers apart, right? It's that way. If they've got an almond in their beak, they're not going to bite you. So if the bird has something that it's incompatible with the behavior you don't like, something that you can't do both, okay? So especially when you're dealing with biting, the Chinese finger puzzle is quite effective. Now, putting on the brakes, that involves rewarding a bird for doing less of a behavior. So with putting on the brakes, what you're going to do is you're going to, let's say that you have a bird that chews your shirt. Okay, this bird is chewing your shirt. She's chewing. What you do is, using a watch, Yes, I know. Not many people have watches anymore, but that second hand comes in really useful. If she sits here and she doesn't try to chew my shirt for 30 seconds, then I give her whatever her little treat is. With her, that would be a pine nut or a little piece of papaya. And then we do another 30 seconds. She doesn't do it. Okay. Then another 30 seconds. She doesn't do it. Then we go 35, 40, 45, 50. And you just keep adding a little bit of time, a little bit of time, a little bit of time. So what you're doing is you're putting on the brakes. So you're just increasing the time a little bit, a little bit, a little bit until you've either reduced the behavior till it's manageable, you can deal with it, or the behavior's gone. We call that extinguished. So you're either lessening the behavior or you're completely extinguishing it. And that's what we call putting on the brakes. It's a useful tool. It just slows things down to the point where you can tolerate them. You're never going to stop a bird from chewing. You're never going to do that. But you can slow them down in certain areas where they would normally try to chew your furniture. If you can slow them down so that they stop doing that, and then you also use the trade-off, offer them something else to chew. They're doing this, you give them, keep trying to get, let's say they keep trying to get to the arm of your couch. They just keep trying to get to the arm of the couch. So when they haven't done it for 30 seconds, you give them a little treat. And again, you keep extending that, you're putting on the brakes, a little more time, a little more time. Now you've got it up to a minute where they're not doing it. And then you offer them something else to chew. And so you're using the trade-off, the offering of another thing to replace that behavior with, but you're also slowing down the behavior of trying to chew the couch. It's a tool that, when I'm dealing with a large group of birds like this, makes a big difference. It seems like they have a better sense of time than we do, and they've taught me quite a bit of that. I can guesstimate time fairly well, and they seem to accept it. But if you're not using a watch and watching a second hand, or you don't have a clock with a second hand, and you're trying to do putting on the brakes, you're going to find that if you don't get the timing right, they'll just get confused and start doing the behavior. And so it won't work. It's going to have to work on a pretty hefty schedule. So you're going to have to go 30 seconds, then eventually 35. And I say eventually, you're just going to move this pretty quickly down the road. You're putting on the brakes, but you're making you're hitting the brakes harder and harder as it goes along. So 35, 40, 50, a minute and a half. You can extend it. Watch them to see how they react. If they start looking around like what's going on, that's an extinction burst. That means they figure you should have already paid them. That's like a guy at the end of the week going, it's 5 o'clock and I haven't got my paycheck yet. When you start to see this behavior, like they're giving up, they got that giving up look, then you know that you've gone too far. Go back. So if you got up to, let's say, a minute, and you thought you could jump to a minute and a half, and you see that behavior happen in a minute and 15, just go back to a minute, and then do that a minute again, and then do a minute 10, then do a minute 20, and then watch them. Watch for that behavior that's like, what's going on? Where's my treat? Once you see that, you know you've gone too far, just step back. That's what you do in all training. Step back at those points and go back to an earlier step in your training schedule. And when I say training schedule, this kind of training, most of the time, it's for misbehaviors. When you're doing the No Jive 5, it's generally for misbehaviors. So we're getting them off of one thing, doing another. So the training is being done in real time in their normal lives. And when you're living with them just in a daily situation. That's when you're doing this kind of training in most cases. Giving the almond when you're putting your hand in the cage because the bird bites. They don't bite when they have an almond. It's incompatible. You can't bite when you have an almond in your beak. Now that doesn't mean they can't throw it. They're not hungry. You give them an almond and they toss it away. That could happen. It's never happened to me, but it could. I mean, theoretically, and I'm sure it's happened to others. Nice toss. Hi, Peach. Now, revving the engine is different. Quite often you use that particular tool when you want a bird to do a wanted behavior, for example, with step up. You can do it with Bob. Can I see you for a second, Bob? Come on. That's all right, Bob. Come here. Come on up, boy. Come on. Let's do it. Okay. Come on. Turn this way. That's a good thing. Okay, step up. Step up. Okay, step up. Step up. Step up. Step up. Step up, Bob. Come on. Step up. One more time. Step up. Step up, Bob. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Bob likes his hugs. He likes his little hugs. So basically what you're doing is just repeating a behavior over and over again. Like step up is a good example. You have them step up, then step up, then step up, then step up, then step up. This is, when you're in a storm, you'll go to any harbor you can get to that's safe, okay? So with these guys, when they have a behavior that you don't want, what you're going to do is you're going to go to any port. As long as they're doing any other behavior than the one you don't want. They're not chewing your shirt. They're not chewing the curtains. They're not... Hi, Bob. They're not pulling the little hairs on your arm. They're not trying to get into your pocket to get your wallet. Whatever the behavior is that you don't want, that they keep trying to do, they're continually trying to do it. If they don't do it for 30 seconds, I'm using 30 seconds. It could be 15, it could be 45. It depends on the bird and how long the bird can go waiting for a treat. But you look at the second hand on your watch, and when that 30 seconds is up, they still haven't done the behavior, you give them a treat. Now, the second, you continue doing this until at some point they go and try to do the behavior. Okay, Bob is not supposed to be grabbing my wallet in my pocket, and he reaches in my pocket with his beak. Okay, reset the timer. He doesn't get any treat. You're starting at 30 seconds again. You get him away from there, and then you wait 30 seconds. Again, he doesn't do it for 30 seconds, you give him a treat. Doesn't do it for 30 seconds, give him a treat. Make the treat small. Now, you don't want to give him a big treat and get them full, because once they get full, they're not going to care about your treats anymore. So, always add that secondary reinforcer. Say, good boy, good boy, good boy, good bird. Good bird works for every bird, so probably better. I started out saying good boy, good girl. And then you find out, 2 weeks later after you get the DNA test that, whoops, this is actually a female, not a male. That kind of thing. But if you say good bird, you'll never have to worry. You use that with any bird, you're cool. So you're going to gradually increase that until the timing from, we're using 30 seconds here, but as I said, it could start at 15, it could start at 45. Even longer with some birds, but you go through that whole time cycle. If they don't do the unwanted behavior, they get the treat. The second they do the unwanted behavior, you reset the timer. So we're going along, it's 20 seconds after, and the bird does the behavior. I reset it back to 0 and start counting again. Once we get all the way back up to 30 seconds, bam, I give them a treat. And then you don't do this quickly, but you keep increasing. So in a session, you might go from 30 seconds to 45, perhaps. And maybe over the next few days, you go from 45 to 2 minutes. And then eventually, you can just give them treats erratically. After a minute here, after 5 minutes there. And as long as they're not doing the unwanted behavior. And it goes away. It extinguishes the unwanted behavior. Remember, there is resurgence, though, which means that the behavior may come back. Don't panic, go, oh no, they're doing it again. Just start see, like with him, he's starting the little nippy thing, which is only around the camera. See the cockatoo, hello. See the cockatoo, hello. He's strung to the spinach, cause he is the cockatoo. He's a good bird. He's a good bird. Hi, Peaches. You got another verse of that song, baby girl? You got another verse? Aw, that's my peaches. Aw, that's my peaches. Oh, it's a peachy girl. That's a peachy girl. It's so peachy. We hope you will consider supporting us on Patreon today. This is how it works. We produce up to 2 videos a month. As a patron, you pledge to give us a donation, whatever you feel is right and meets your budget. Patreon gives us your gift monthly. You can easily set a limit on how much you donate a month. You can change the amount of your pledge at any time. Your gift will allow us to continue bringing you entertaining and informative videos. Patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary. We look forward to your participation in Cockatoo. So, summarizing, we have trading behaviors. What are you doing? Which is offering an alternate behavior. Instead of screaming, you reward when they make a sound you like. Okay, so if Bob makes cute little hello sounds, and he makes those sounds, I reward it by coming over to his cage and giving him a treat and saying, good boy. If he screams, I ignore him. Now that brings up, and I've mentioned it before, but I can't mention it enough. You cannot extinguish a behavior, get rid of a behavior, by just ignoring it. That's just extinguishing by itself. I'm going to say cannot. It will, in some rare cases, work, but it's very easy to screw it up. So you want to have that alternate behavior. You want to do the trade. You want to do the trade-off. You want to offer an alternate while you're extinguishing the behavior you don't want. That's important. And the image that fits best in my mind is you're walking down the street and somebody goes, hey Joe. Nothing. You just keep walking, so it keeps walking. Hey Joe. Joe keeps walking. Hey Joe. Joe keeps walking. Hey Joe. And then Joe turns around. What do you think the odds are the next time you see Joe walking down the street, you're going to go, hey Joe? Probably you're going to at least go, hey Joe. You're going to probably do it louder. Same thing happens with them. So you got to be careful. Just extinguishing a behavior is sometimes makes it much worse. You can get more of an unwanted behavior by just trying to extinguish it. So if you offer an alternative behavior, such as, here's Cecil the cockatoo, hello. He's Cecil the cockatoo, hello. He's strung to the finish 'cause he eats his spinach. He's Cecil the cockatoo. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Hey, Cecil. Come here. What you doing? What you doing? Good bird. You're a good bird. You're putting up those cameras, that makes you a good bird. It does. And the Chinese finger puzzle, just offering something that, like the example is the almond in the beak. You can't bite when you're holding an almond in your beak. Be aware that they might toss the almond out if they're not hungry, not wanting an almond at that moment. That's why it's important to figure out what their favorite food is, take it out of their diet, and use it just to train. And on top of that, it gives you a little guilty feeling. Oh, the thing they like the most, I don't give them in their food bowl. And that kind of urges you to do the training. So that's a reinforcement for you. Easing on the brakes, is just slowing down a behavior over time. Okay? They don't do it for 30 seconds, you give them a treat. They don't do it for 35, you give them a treat. And you just keep doing that until eventually you've phased it out. And revving up the engine, you just repeat the behavior, repeat the behavior, repeat the behavior, repeat the behavior. One right after, quick succession. And what that does is it just makes it a lot easier to do. You know, it's a lot easier to climb that set of stairs once you've taken the first couple of steps. And it works that way for all animals. So get them into the pattern, and you've got a better chance of getting the behavior when you want it. And any port in a store is just you reward anything other than the behavior you don't want. And if they do the behavior you don't want, then you want to stop. That's it. You're done. Okay? And start over. You want to give them enough time for them to realize that, whoops, this didn't work. So keep the no jive 5 in mind. They're something that all behaviorists use. And for those of you who are geekish, hang on for a moment and I'll explain what these are in technical terms. In technical terms, the actual applied behavior analysis term for each of these. But for the rest of you, thanks for watching, and we hope you see you next time. Okay, geeks, let's talk about them. The first is DRA, that's the trade-off. That's differential reinforcement of another behavior. And differential means that you've got A and B, it's the seesaw, okay? That's what differential is. It's either this or that. And it's basically an or, okay? Yeah. DRI, differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. That's where you're offering the almond, okay? The almond in the beak is my example. But something that makes the other behavior impossible. It could be a toy. If a bird has a toy in the beak, not going to be biting. Okay, so that's an incompatible. DRL, that's differential reinforcement of low rates of behavior. So where you're trying to bring a behavior down to less and less and less and less, that's the differential reinforcement of low rates. So you're offering larger time frames where a behavior is not being done. Okay, 30 to 35 to 40 to 45. Then there's the DRH, which is the differential reinforcement of high rates of behavior. And that's where you're having them like step up, step up, step up, step up, step up, step up, step up to increase a particular behavior. You're taking a wanted behavior and making it occur faster and making it more certain that you're going to get the behavior. And the last one is DRO, also called DR0, but it's differential reinforcement of an other behavior. So that's the any other. That's the any port in a storm. Okay? That's any port in a storm. And this is all differential reinforcement. So geeks, that's the geek moment. Cecil, you're so silly. You're such a silly bird. You truly are a silly bird. But you're cute. So let's get these cameras out of here, Dad. I don't like the cameras. Hi, Peach. Hi, Peaches. So Cecil, do you want to say goodbye to the folks? Cecil, just say goodbye to everybody. Cecil bird. Goodbye. See you next time. We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatoo@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @ChloeSanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.